can speak on behalf of the TAMS community that we are proud to have you here as part of our speakers, to listen to new ideas and change your way of thinking, to inspire others and to be inspired, and to be a greater leader in your community. Our speakers are prepared for weeks to speak about their unique ideas and present to you all. So as we take on TEDxYouth TAMS with a theme of modern curiosities, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the TED Talks. Thank you.
The topic of artificial intelligence is one of great debate. Will it attack us? How does it work? Can we stop it? Thankfully, today, our first speaker can shine light on the groundbreaking technology, discussing ideas surrounding one of the most revolutionary technologies in the status quo. Please welcome Anirudh Mazumder.
Hello, my name is Anirudh Mazumder, and today I'll be guiding you through one of the biggest problems artificial intelligence faces today, the black box dilemma. Currently, over 27% of people use AI in their daily lives, and this number is only increasing by the day. I like to think of this like the dot-com boom. The same way the dot-com boom got more and more people to engage with technology, as people started to use it, we can see AI working in the same vein. The same way people are using ChatGPT and Claude AI in their daily lives, and they're starting to use it to simplify tasks that generally require a lot of effort, like finding a simple pasta recipe requires hours upon hours of Google searches. Well, now you can just ask ChatGPT, what is a simple pasta recipe that I can make in my daily life? Now, it's not only being used in our daily lives. AI has been applied to a multitude of different domains. Think healthcare, business, and even education. AI is not being applied to these domains. They're revolutionizing these domains. The same way that we can use a simple MRI scan to tell if you have Alzheimer's disease using an artificial neural network is pretty insane. Its ability to compute thousands upon thousands of images in seconds is pretty insane. These are only applicable because of our technology behind artificial intelligence. Now, you may be wondering now, what possibly could be hindering the growth of AI in our daily lives? Well, actually a lot of people are afraid of it. It's called they are afraid of the AI apocalypse. The AI apocalypse is the theory that at some point in time, AI is going to reach a higher level of intellect than that of a human. It's going to get to the point where they're going to reverse the roles. Instead of us being the ones using AI, AI will start to control humans. Obviously, as humans, we don't want that to happen. I think the way that Ultron was played in the Marvel Universe accurately depicts this. The way that the Avengers have to fight against this technology that Tony Stark creates, Iron Man. He creates this technology and integrates it into his suits. Now, eventually, this technology reaches a level of intellect higher than that of his control system. At some point, it takes over his control system. It takes over his entire fleet of suits and uses it to fight against the Avengers. This led to one of the biggest fights in the Marvel Universe's history. And this is all because of our rhetoric of the AI apocalypse. In fact, over 34% of people are afraid that at some point in time, AI will inevitably get to a higher level of intellect than that of us. Now, this is a major problem, because if we want to truly integrate AI into our daily lives, although the number may be increasing now, at some point we're going to stop it entirely because we're too afraid to harness this technology for good. Now, I'll walk you through a simple artificial intelligence neural network. The structure has three key pieces. First is the input layer, then the hidden layer, and lastly, the output layer. The input layer consists of the data that we have. This is what we already knew. It's like an image that we're giving into the neural network, or the data set that we're using to train it. We spent months upon months to collect this data from things like laboratory testing. Then we have the hidden layer, or the black box. This is where all the real learning is happening. the neurons are firing in some iteration, just that it's going to learn the complex relationships in the data set. The problem is, we have no clue what's happening behind these blocks. We just know neurons are firing in some pattern, such that this piece of computer code is learning the complex relationships behind this data set. Lastly, we have the output layer. The output layer is the singular thing that we're looking for. It's the final metric that the neural network will give out. Now let me put this into context. Here you see a picture of a bird as our input layer. Simple image that's used, it's pixelized, and then 1,000 by 1,000 image, which is then turned into computer code. Then we have the black box, or the hidden layer. This is where the neural network is trying to learn the image. In our case, we want this neural network to predict what exactly is the animal. To us, we know it's a bird. Pretty easy. But can 15 lines of computer code achieve the same level of understanding? Well, the output says, yes it can. What do you know? The neural network got to the same conclusion that we are able to get in seconds. Now, why does this matter? Well, as a human, we've built this intuition that birds have things like wings and feathers which allow it to fly. Now, that clearly differentiates it from things like grounded animals like us. And that's how we're able to tell that that is indeed a bird. But because we have no clue what's happening in this black box, we can never understand why computer code, just looking at a singular image, is able to get the understanding that is in fact a bird. Now, you may be wondering, I've gone over an architecture, I've gone examples, and I've even told you what AI is applicable for. But minus all the glorious stuff, what is AI? If we just took it down to its bones. AI is a bunch of math. It's a ton of linear algebra, multivariable calculus, and differential equations that have all been combined to make math formulas. To put this in perspective, one of the most widespread machine learning algorithms, it's a classical machine learning algorithm. In fact, the first one we created is called a linear regression. Now, when you think of linear, I bet we all think of y equals mx plus b. Well, guess what? That's exactly what the computer is doing. It's plotting every single point in this data set on a graph. Then it will find the line of best fit. And that's all it's doing, just a simple math formula, which we could have done ourselves. Now, let's put this into the context of AI. AI is a subset of this machine learning. Now, the main difference is AI has the ability to learn based on the past. Think about backpropagation. Backpropagation is when we look into the past. We reflect on all the positives and negatives of making a choice. Then inevitably, we'll make the best choice we possibly can. Now, mathematically, how does this work? How can a singular math formula pull this off? Well, this is where differentiability comes into play. The sigmoid function, which is one of the most commonly used activation functions in a neural network architecture, the main purpose of it is its differentiability. The fact that you can take the derivative of this function, it will give you a gradient. Then based on this gradient, you can adjust the curve. Now, what does this mean? Let's say you have a huge set of points. First, you have a linear line, but now let's say it's a cubic curve. By doing this differentiable equation, we're able to adjust this curve such that eventually it will hit every single point on the graph. But I guess there's a lot of math behind this, but why should we care about the math? Well, the fact that there's a ton of math, we've done all the hard work. All AI was. It was built upon math. The fact that we've already done the hard work of making these math formulas and finding them means that there should be an explanation as to what's happening inside of this black box. Why can't we tell what is happening when we're training this neural network? Why is it learning relationships that we never could in seconds? Well, enter explainable AI. Explainable AI is a subset of artificial intelligence research that's focused on peering into the black box. Now, you may be wondering, how can we do this? Well, I'll show you a simple example. Here, you see a simple neural network architecture, the same as the one I showed you earlier. There are a few extra pieces though. First, the input layer. The input layer, you can see an MRI scan. Then we have the hidden layers. Obviously, again, the black box. We don't know what's happening there. Then we finally come down to a prediction. Now, this prediction is a little bit more significant than is it a bird or not. Based on this picture of a singular person's brain, the neural network is predicting if they have ADHD or not. Now, if you think about the clinical implications, that's pretty insane. After months and months of taking these pictures, putting it into one data set, then plugging it into a neural network that's learned this in an hour, and let's say it has high accuracy. That means that we have now made an early detection algorithm for ADHD, which is pretty impressive. But what if that's not necessarily correct? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you see these outer skirts of the brain image. Let's say that the neural network, because we don't know what's happening, is looking at these outer skirts and saying, oh, that's ADHD, that black area around it. Well, that's clearly a false statement. There's no biological basis there. At that point, we've now understood that the neural network is not truly learning what an ADHD brain looks like. Rather, it's learning that black may be or may not be correlated with ADHD. But let's put this in the reverse. Let's say the neural network identifies a region of the brain that, let's say, we've never researched biologically. Then we can now focus and hone out in our biology research into this region of the brain, potentially find a relationship to ADHD biologically proving this. Now, why exactly am I talking to you about this? Well, at the bottom of this image, there's a class activation map. This is one of the biggest breakthroughs in explainable AI so far. A class activation map looks into the hidden layer. This is the true potential of explainable AI. Do you see these heat maps? These heat maps are highlighting the areas of the image that the neural network is highlighting as important. This is what it's using to say this is an ADHD brain versus a non-ADHD brain. So after we've gotten all of these images and added up to a singular heat map, we now can tell that the top right corner of the brain image is correlated to ADHD. Now let's say we do the biology and look into it. What if there's a protein in there that says this region of the brain could not be correlated to ADHD? Then we know that this neural network is faulty. Never could we ever use it in clinical applications. But let's work this in the reverse. Let's say we now look into this and we see that there is in fact a protein that is related to ADHD. Now this neural network not only is able to serve as an early prediction algorithm, it's also able to give us clinical implications. What can we work with now? So overall, what is the point of my talk today? Well, I wanted to tell y'all that AI is something we should harness. It's not something we should be afraid of. Things like explainable AI are the future of artificial intelligence. Now, more importantly, if we don't harness AI, we will lose the ability to save millions upon millions of lives. Just think about this simple early prediction algorithm and how we can apply this to a multitude of different diseases. And again, this is also being applied to a multitude of different fields. Thank you so much.